A study shows that a record number of women are struggling to find marriageable men who have attained the same level of academic achievement, but they still overwhelmingly prefer husbands who are the primary breadwinners. More than a quarter of wives, 25.3%, have attained higher levels of education than their husbands, according to data released by the Institute for Family Studies. Today, we focus on a phenomenon of a man or a woman abandoning a man after sponsoring her education. Also, take it otherwise, a woman also picking up interest in a man and sponsoring the man, and the man later on, or the woman later on abandon the man, or the man abandons the woman. The program is a turn up, a program that seeks to empower women and the girl child. Still though, so we'll be right back. Welcome. It's another exciting edition of your program, A Turn Up, a program that seeks to empower women and the girl child, and always carry the same message, empowering women. We start right from your family, workplaces, and neighborhoods. And today we focus on this phenomenon. Men, especially strugglers, will sponsor a woman to a certain level, and the woman ends up abandoning that man, or a man sponsoring, or a woman sponsoring a man, and the man abandons the woman to another woman. Is it trending? Is it a trending phenomenon today? That's a question we are asking, and we're equally waiting for your reactions on the number you'll be seeing on your TV screens. Now, before we know who our guests are, I want us to watch this story. It's a victim, a man who once sponsored a woman, and the woman ended up abandoning him with a one-year-old child. Let's watch. We'll be right back.
He is now full of life. Some years back, he suffered from the hands of a woman.
All what I would say is that you always go to meet the right one at the right time, because sponsoring a woman in a school, I don't believe in that, because I'm like a victim. I have sponsored a girl in school, even got married with her. The year she still go back, even though we have a child.
He says he spent his hard-earned money to see her through her secondary, high school, and university studies. And after obtaining her certificates, she dumped him even after they had a child. For another man, he says it was a worst moment of his life.
Because every time that I would think that you sponsor again in school and maybe you get married with her, before coming he have an own plan. He have somebody that love her who cannot sponsor her, but after that he will sponsor her, she will still go back to that person, because that is my own point of view. Because I have a child with some girl that I sponsor, I even got married, but today we are not together.
The young man is now advising other men to go back to their roots and get wives rather than spend their hard-earned money on women who will later fall in the arms of another man.
As concerning that issue, if I have to sponsor a girl, and then in the long run the girl has to allow me, maybe because of one reason or the other, I just know that she may not find happiness anywhere she goes, no matter what.
This is just something that is good, that when you make an agreement with somebody, it's good that you should respect what people agree from the beginning. Because there are equally women that they sell tomatoes in the market and sponsor men. When they go ahead, later on they will say they cannot get married to a man that is selling tomatoes, to a woman that is selling tomatoes. So the thing is on the both sides. It's just good that people should learn to respect all what they agree. When you keep an agreement with somebody, make sure you agree it, so that your own life, your own future will be more brighter. Because when they make like that, that's how they invite trouble on their body, trouble on their future, trouble even on the children that they will give birth to.
If you want to get married to a girl, please just go back to your village and look the right one there, because when there will be a problem, family will know how to arrange it But when you got married to someone that is far away from your village, there will never be a dialogue between your family and her, because that word we said country talk in Bamenda is always important. But we youth, we neglect it sometimes, but it's always important, because I've been a victim. Now today I am not with the mother of my child because we were not in the same village. Because if we were in the same village, my family will have called there. Maybe does that country talk as we.
The practice seems to be trending these days, with the men licking their wounds and have no option but to marry women of their category, but without leaving curses on the women whom they spent their money on.
Now let the discussion begin. We have invited fine brains, at least women, beautiful women, who are here to share their testimonies, their views, and how they see the topic of today. So if you want to participate on today's program, you can equally send your reactions on the number you're seeing on your TV screens. Now it's time for us to know our guest. I'll start with the person that is very close to me. She's called Azza Awanka, communication specialist. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Now, how do you do?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Now I want you to breathe some air. Now, how was your day? How challenging was your day?
Yeah, it's been very busy because I've been working on a project with my company, and now we are at the final stage.
Okay.
So concluding is never easy.
All right. We equally have another woman with a fine brain, of course. She's called Ndih Maureen, educationist. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Now, how have you been?
Fine, I'm doing.
How was your day?
The day was good, but not really very easy because I had a seminar today since yesterday.
All right. Now, we are talking about, we just watched a report, we're talking about this phenomenon of a man, a struggler, sponsoring a woman to a certain level, and the woman later abandons the man to another man or for another man. Now, how trending is it, Azza?
I feel that this is very common in this world, because in this part of the world, that men or either ways they sponsor people, and somewhere along the line these people leave them.
Okay.
And usually what's more alarming is that people, they focus more on the fact that I've sent you to school. Of course, sending someone to school, education is an investment.
Okay.
But now the process through that education is what's important. For example, living with the person, he sponsors you to school, but 80% of the time he reminds you of that thing that he's doing. He did something good, but the action, your experience with him in the house is appalling. Eventually, when you see that small, tiny light in that dark room, what happens to you? You will chase that light.
Okay.
And usually, for the person who, the receiver, let's just focus on the woman child now. So you receiving that aid of going to school, and then in the process, you're tortured, you're beaten. Somehow, the only hope you have is that, let me complete my education, because after that, I'm going to be fine.
So you're taking the other side of it as if the woman is being tortured, that's why she had to leave the home?
That's one of the reasons.
All right, we'll come to the reasons now,
Yeah.
Ndih. Now, is it a common practice today in society? Now, when you look around.
Yeah, really. I have experience. I've seen many.
Okay.
And to me, it's not nice. Because really, if you really love somebody and you decide to train that person, then the person should also recognize the efforts you have made to train him or her.
Okay.
Because it's on both sides. If it's a lady or if it's a man, I mean, it should, if you have trained somebody, the person should come back and stay with you. And what I have as a problem is when they don't even take them because they say that they are not up to their standard. That's where my worry is. Some men will say that this lady is not up to my standard, I can't continue.
And the woman
with
will
her.
say the same
The woman
thing.
will say the same, which is not nice. Even if the person is not up to your standard, you can still bring up that person to your standard. There are many ways.
Now, you know you've reached that level. Now, how do you bring... Okay, let's take, for example, let's take the case of a struggler, for example. Let's say the man is doing everything. He has a shop. Let's take it that way. He has a shop in the market. He has just a first school. and then decides he loves this girl, he sees that the girl loves education, decides, okay, let me just see her, the parents can't afford it, but she loves going to school. But they don't live together, but decides to invest in her by making sure that she reaches at least a university level. Now, how do you please that? Wait, how do you appreciate that?
Well, in the beginning, this is it's a tricky one now, because it's really, sometimes people aim for things that are too big, because you see the red light from day one, and when you've invested that money, it's absolutely wrong for a person to leave you for that reason. But like I keep saying, in the beginning, most people don't set in to leave, but if you talk to them, you'll probably see that they might have gone through something. But very few go in like, I want to exploit this man to educate me.
So it's about exploiting a man?
To me, not really exploiting. It all depends on how they started. Because if they are together out of love, I think that man is training that girl or educating the girl, or the girl is training the man because he or she loves the partner. And if you are doing it out of love, I see no reason why the other person will leave after the training, or after getting to a certain level.
It means that if the woman has to leave the man, it means there was no love at the base.
To me, there was no love.
That is it. That is it. That's why I call it exploitation, because if at the end of the day you're talking about love, then there will be any leaving. You would have common goals. You see, it will be you going to school because I want you to become this, and so that it can assist us in this way or that way. You understand? But usually it begins where you people are not on the same page. And then one person is not seeing it because he's blinded by his love, or she's blinded by his love.
Okay.
Every other person around you might be seeing that, but only you. Okay. Mind you.
All right. Now, why do you accept the man's money? Why do you allow the man to sponsor you to that level? And then it's at that time that you have to tell the man that if you don't, you're no more interested.
If a woman really accepts to be trained to a certain level, and he or she decides to leave the partner,
must you accept the man to do that?
It depends on how they started, as she said. Because if at the beginning it was out of love that the man is training the lady, or the lady is training the man, then there should be no complaint at the end. If a man wants to train a lady, probably if the lady doesn't have the means to go to school, she will surely accept to be trained.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Azza, you wanted to add something?
No, my only thing is that we are focused on that somebody has trained someone, and then this someone left. But the process during that training is what we should be looking at now. How was the life when you were training her? Or what was life before even training her? And when you started training her, how was your relationship? Because, like I keep saying, they will train you, and then in the process, something goes wrong.
It means that the real intentions of the man, he did not say it at the beginning. Can we look at it that way?
No, well, yeah, in the beginning, you can't really tell how it will happen eventually, because things change. Things change. In the beginning, I'm happy, I want to go to school. He's happy, he wants to help you achieve something, right? Okay. And then you start going to school. There is this other person, there are other factors now start affecting, there are other things that come into your life that weren't in your life when you started the relationship. Okay. That is school. And you know what school brings? It brings light. And imagine you having that light. So there's a total twist in
Yes, definitely. You want to add something?
When she talks of you having light, I feel like maybe the lady or the man has seen that I'm already at this level and this man is not up to my standard. Maybe because of friends. My friend's husband, my friend's wife is like this. Maybe they're of the same level, they live in the morning, they go out to work or in big offices. But I think that should not be the case.
Okay.
The people outside should not influence you. If you really love that person, I still keep talking of the word love.
All right.
If you really love the person, nobody will influence you.
So which means it's about love here. Yeah.
It should be. Anything that has to do with relationship should be based on love.
Okay.
That's the foundation.
All right. Do you have people now? You say you've known people who have gone through that. You have some of them who had to stick to the love, or some had to abandon.
No, I've lived the experience of a couple.
Yes. Can you share?
Yeah, the man trained the lady up to higher earness. The lady left higher earnest. They already had a child, and she abandoned the man. The man became very frustrated, so much. He was very frustrated, and I didn't like it. When I look at that man, I didn't like what the lady
in that
did.
situation, now, how do you handle it? If you're close to that person, how do you handle it? Do you talk to the lady? How do you do it?
If I'm closer to the lady, all I'll try is to advise her that maybe, or to find out from her what is wrong with the man. What is it in your husband that is not good again? Maybe that at the beginning he was like this and now he's no more that very person that you thought that he would be.
Okay.
I will find out. And if in case it's like maybe I find it difficult to go out with him because he may not express himself in a very good way because he's not educated up to my level, or where you go and visit your friends and his behavior is not
is it about the is it about the education of the man or the way his looks?
I feel so.
Usually it might not be the looks, but somehow when they start going to that school, there are other actors that come into play. I keep repeating this. There's either this one remind you that that girl is going to school like we are having it now. Imagine someone watching this program now and then says, oh, so it means if you go to school, you leave me. And then he has already sent you to school. Probably you're almost at the end of it. And then he starts acting up. What happens? So people have reasons.
Okay.
People have reasons. Yeah, but the basis, like she said, I agree with her that for every relationship, what counts is love.
All right.
And now, if that is present for both sides, then you stand to
So there should be an agreement at the base. Is that what you're saying?
There should be. There should be. But I find it funny how will couples sit to agree that if I train you, you stay with me. It's funny because I think they are already living together and they decide that, okay, go to school. Maybe let me struggle and then educate you.
All right.
Now,
can we look at it this way? Do you see like societal influence? Now, what's responsible for these? Can we have some factors here?
Why would a person want to have a woman go to school?
Okay.
Economic reasons. That is the basis now. It's economic reasons. We are in an era that you know that every person, both parties should work to put food on the table. So when he sees that this lady should go to school and they agree, of course.
Okay. Now, which one is more painful? Seeing a man rejecting a woman or a woman rejecting a man? Because when a man does that, the woman, at least, they'll say the man is bad. Now, how do you look at this? Which do you put on the balance?
To me, both are painful. Yes, all are the same. Because if a woman abandons a man, that man is frustrated. If a man abandons a woman,
a man can easily pick up, right?
Can he? It depends.
Why?
It depends. If he was not focused on the relationship, or he didn't like her, and then he might just be angry because I spent money and then I'm not getting my investment back.
Okay.
But if he truly loves her, of course he will be hurt.
I even think that the woman is on the better side because a woman might have another man who will marry her because she's already up at a certain level. But now, what of that man who is still at that level?
Okay.
Where maybe struggling to sell like the other person whom we just saw, struggling and then educating you, you're already up at a level. Who will marry him again?
All right, Azza.
I don't think that any person, there's a better person in this, especially if you're talking about love, because there's a broken heart now. And there's someone that will have to learn to live life in a different way. So the pain is equal, whether you're a woman or a man, because you're doing this, especially if you were doing it out of love. But if it was an investment, then,
okay.
You tell
so it
yourself,
means that it's painful both to the man and the woman.
Oh, it is.
Now, let's look at the cultural. Do you have any cultural barriers here that can influence such a practice?
That can influence such activities in which direction now?
The two.
The both?
Yeah. We're talking about cultural differences, or we're talking about the education at the base. Because if you have a girl child, you bring her up the right way, do you think she's going to accept such a thing? That's what I'm trying to talk about here.
This would work. It should go back to parents now, because naturally every parent should even that he is the one catering for the education of his or her child. It shouldn't be a third party, because at some point they become indebted to this person, even for something this little. They become indebted. So parents should work extremely hard, and they should do the education themselves.
All right, Daphne?
Yeah, I agree with her that it goes back to parents, because at times you see some parents who push their girls to go and get married to some rich people because they think that those rich people will continue the education of their children.
At times you have parents who even back their daughters, and knowing that the man has been the one sponsoring the children. Don't you think that even some parents are behind?
Yeah, some parents do. Some parents do support the fact that their girls leave their husband, or that their boys
Or
leave
even
the
tell
girls.
even tell the man, no, we don't want you anymore.
Yeah, you are not up to the level.
Okay.
And that is where it pains. That fact that you are not up to my standard.
Okay.
You are not up to my level.
So,
Like
what do you want the girl to say?
The girl, to the parents.
Can the
or
girl
to-
compensate the man after doing that?
You can't compensate. There's no monetary value attached to something that you give out of love. No matter how much, even if you give the person, if I spend 10 million and then you're giving me 10 million, but it's never going to equal the emotions that are put in there. You can't pay back.
All right.
You can never pay back.
Definitely.
That is already time wasted. You can't pay it.
All right,
Yeah.
now I want us to watch these other reactions. We are talking about the best marriage advice. Have you ever had one? The best marriage advice?
I'm not married, so I've not had that.
All right, best marriage. We're talking about best marriage advice here. Now, I want us to watch. We'll be right back.
The best marriage advice I've gotten so far, I think, is the one that says I should work hard to be my wife's best friend, and I'm really working hard towards it.
The greatest advice I've received so far was on my wedding day. The pastor said I should not leave my husband, that anywhere he's relocating to, whether in the forest or outside the country, I must be with him. I should always be there with him.
My first need as a married man is respect. I interpret everything my wife does as love, as care, in that one word, respect.
One is family time.
I believe a bit of understanding. I long to be understood.
Secondly, shopping around.
What will make me a perfect partner?
I've got Christ in me, 100%, so I'm fun to be with.
I say the truth, and I have not just a good, but a great, wonderful sense of humor.
I love myself, and I'm comfortable with myself. I love myself enough to love somebody else. I know that I'm ready because I'm very accommodating, you know, and then I'm a good friend, I'm a good listener. So why don't I get married?
Well, I have a good listening ear.
Aside the fact I am superlatively caring, I think I have a learning spirit. You know, I am always willing to learn.
I've heard so much teachings about marriage, and I'm ready to submit, you know, that submission kind of thing. So that's why I think I'm ready to get married. One, it has to be very, very supportive.
Someone that is very open. You can share anything, like no hidden thing.
A good listener.
A man who worships God from his heart. And number two, he has to be an encourager and hardworking.
Of course, she must be a good Christian, a practical Christian.
She should better know how to say the truth too.
Someone who I can laugh with, have fun with, not too serious.
He has to be very, very financially buoyant. At least he should be able to, you know, give me one or two when I don't have.
Then she has to be supportive.
The third one, you should be very, very clean.
He should be God-fearing.
She has to be extremely beautiful.
What else?
And welcome back. Thanks for those wonderful reactions. We have some other person has joined us here in the studio. She's called Leila. I don't want to complete the other name, but I want them to discover you. And she's into communications as well. What precisely?
Personal branding.
Okay. Now we're going to talk about what personal branding is all about. We are women. We need to learn those things and how to communicate, sell our products, sell our ideas anywhere we go. So we're talking about branding.
Yeah.
Now I want you to tell us, what's branding?
Basically, I would say it's establishing and promoting what you stand for. I think in a nutshell, that's what I would say branding is all about. It's about discovering those things that you stand for, the skills, the talents, the values, the strengths, discovering all of it and then promoting it so people can experience you for who you really are.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, where do you start from when we talk about branding? How do you begin?
I think you always begin by getting to know who you are.
Okay.
That's I think that's it. I always tell people branding is 80% internal and just 20% external, because external is just the showing up aspect, but the work is internal. It has to do with you. It has to do with your values. It has to do with the things you really, really are passionate about. It has to do with the things you stand for. And that's an internal job. Nobody can do it for you.
Now, people have a lot of difficulties, especially women, believing in themselves.
Yeah.
Now, how do you start this? Where do you begin from? How do you start believing in yourself as a woman?
Yes. I think self-love is something that it starts, first of all, with you authentically and unconditionally accepting everything about yourself. Because when you start looking at other people and you start comparing yourself to others, you might spend more time appreciating others than yourself. And so I think it begins with you standing and saying, hey, I have large eyes like mine. Say, hey, I have this body structure, and it's not going to change, because honestly, your body is the only one you have. And so you better love it, because you're going to live in it your whole life, you know. And so I say you need to stand up and first of all, accept unconditionally who you are. Love it the way it is. And then from there you can start maybe improving on some aspects that can be improved.
So when we're talking about branding, we're talking about yourself.
Yes.
How to sell your image.
Yes.
How to sell, because there are people who think that we're talking about products here.
Yeah.
Like, let's say yogurt, you're trying to sell, maybe you have a shop, you're
Yes.
trying to sell the items in your shop, but it's not about that.
No, it's not about items, it's about you. That's why branding in the corporate sense, there is corporate branding, there is that, but we're talking about personal branding, which has to do with you. And the product here, if I might use that word product, is you. Because even when you have a business or when you have a company, what happens is your business or your company is an extension, it's an expression of you. It's something you love, it's something you know how to do, it's something you have expertise in, and you're extending it to the people who can benefit. And so it's an extension of you. When you get to understand better what you are, what you can really do so well, and the people who need what you have, it's easy to communicate those things, because people buy from people. People do business with people and not with items and not with company names. And so if they can't identify, if they can't put the humanness to that business, it's quite difficult for people to buy.
All right, Daphne, I want to turn to you right now. Do you believe in yourself?
I do.
All right. Now, have you succeeded to identify your potentials? Do you know who you are?
I think I know who I am. And that is why I'm up to where I am today. Because I can see in my career, I had a lot of difficulties at the base. Yeah. But finally, God has taken me to where I am now, because I accepted myself as I am.
All right. Now, do you have difficulties? How did you easily identify your talents?
What you feel, what you do when you're doing something, I think you have an inner feeling in you. You like it. If you do it and it pleases you. For example, I'm a teacher. When I'm in the classroom, I'm happy. When children come around me, I'm happy. Therefore, it means I love children, and in me, I need to help to bring up children. Maybe as an educationist, I love teaching. Even in the office, I'm in the office, but I like being in the classroom. When I was even told I have to go to the office,
that is what
I
you feel inside.
Yes, it's inside me. Because when I'm away from them, or when I hear a child cries around, I wish to find out what is wrong with that child. If I see a child who is sad, I would like to find out what is wrong with that child. So I know that in me, I am a born teacher.
Now, how do you sell your image? Anywhere you go.
Doing your work.
Is it that easy?
Not quite easy, but doing what you like, doing it with passion. Yeah.
All right. Is that all about branding?
Yeah, it
That's all
is.
about. All right. Now I want us to look at the difficulties. Women have a lot of difficulties believing in themselves.
Yes.
Now, how do you explain that?
I think, for example, I'll look at contextually. From our context, unfortunately, mainstream media has dealt a lot with us. Let's leave the cultural. Let's talk about mainstream media. It has dealt a lot with us women, because what TV has sold to us in the name of adverts, what magazines have given to us, the image they have sold to us about the perfect or the ideal woman is what's destroying us, unfortunately.
Okay.
I speak from experience because before I got to this point, I was one of those who believed a lot in what I read in magazines, in what I saw on TV. I got to a point I realized those things are really unattainable. And you know, one day I was looking at the magazine and I looked at the woman's face. I said, come on, how can a woman be without pores? You can't have a face that perfect. This thing has been photoshopped and they want to make me believe I can be like that in reality, whereas that's not it. And so that, it was like kind of, it kind of started everything in me, and I really said, no, hey, I need to look at my reality. I need to look at who I am, the way I am made. And that's it. And I think that's the problem that most women have.
Yeah, we have this problem. Most women don't believe in themselves.
Yeah.
And they think they have this nature of copying from other women. That you see a woman and say, this woman is very beautiful. Why can't I be like that woman? I want the eyes. The eyes are just funny. Now, how should a woman, what should she do? If you look yourself in the mirror, now what do you do to start believing in yourself? How do you see the inner part of you? How do you feel it?
I think it first of all, the change in perspective. You need to change your perspective, the eyes through which you view yourself. You need to take your eyes away from the things you don't like about you and start appreciating the things that you like at least about yourself. You need to start doing that. And I always say it's always good to have a support group. Surround yourself with people who bring out the best in you. Surround yourself with people who can appreciate who you really are. Because you know, beauty is not only what you see, it's intellectual, and so you need to surround yourself with people who can bring out all of those in you. I think from there, you're just going to, it's a process. Honestly, it's a process.
Okay, Delphine, have you had some moments in your life when you see somebody you want to be like that person?
Normally in life, it's good to admire. And really there are such moments that I've admired those who are maybe higher in position than me. And to me, when I admire somebody, maybe the talents, I also like. I mean, I will try. Do I have those talents? But if I don't have those talents, it's good just to admire and say, what you're doing is good. But if I can't live up to that, it should not disturb me. It shouldn't disturb me. But if it is something, because if you don't aim higher in life, you will remain in one position.
Okay.
That's one thing every human being must know. You must aim higher.
You need to dream.
Yeah.
Have dreams.
Good. Live them.
Okay.
But if you're not able to attain them, it shouldn't disturb you. That is accepting yourself, whom you are.
Right. Now, I want us to look at the pressure from a man.
Yeah.
Take, for example, you're in a home, you won't believe in yourself, but the man makes you feel as if you're trash. Now, how do you handle that? Now, what do you do? We will have so many women out there. They're married.
Yeah.
They're in their homes.
Yeah.
But the man makes them sound stupid, as if they cannot do anything. And the women believe in it, and they are there at the spot. They don't grow.
Yeah.
They are just there. They think they cannot do anything. They think they don't have talent. And that's where the problem begins. Now, how do you explain that? Because we're trying to tell women that you have talent.
Yes.
If you believe in yourself, if you have dreams, then the sky is your limit. Now, how do you explain it?
I think it can really be a difficult or painful one, because your husband is, I think it's the closest person to you, and when your husband is not the one who encourages you, the blow is really, really deep, because that's your closest person, that's the closest to you. And to have a husband who can't appreciate who you are, I think it's a two-way thing. First of all, when the guy got married to you, maybe there were things he saw about you that he really loved. And probably in the course of it, there are some changes that he is witnessing that could be affecting his perspective. Maybe you've changed the way you used to do things you're doing. Maybe you've settled and you've taken things for granted. And so that is maybe affecting the relationship. Maybe he's just a man that doesn't want to appreciate you, probably for one reason or the other. But it's a two-way thing. But as the woman, get support. Get support. It's very important.
She has no support from the husband, the family, society. Now, how should she go about it?
I think there are lots of things happening now. There are so many groups, there are so many associations and organizations that are coming up where women can seek the support they need. It could be counseling. probably there's somebody your husband can listen to,
Okay.
advise you, maybe get to that person who can talk to both of you and try to find out why is he doing what he's doing.
Okay.
Get to the heart of the matter and see how it can be trashed. There are some that can be changed.
So you're not advising a woman to just sit at the position where you are because a man sees that you cannot, in short, you're nothing and you don't seem to believe in yourself, because the women will spend all their time at home. They are not creative. They don't have dreams. They are there with the kid. They think they spend the time from the kitchen to the bedroom. In short, they spend all their life in the house, and they have no dreams. They have no vision because the man tells them that you can't do anything. Now, how do you start believing in yourself? Now, how do you get from out of that home into society?
Wow. First of all, it's still a mindset. It's something that is inside.
But you need somebody to pull you out of there.
By the way,
because when the man says no,
yeah,
when the family says no, now how do you do it? You need some other person
to pull
who is
you
not
out.
your family member, who is not the husband, to pull you out. Now how do you do it?
And that's why I say you need to get support groups. You really need to look for groups, people who can accompany you.
Okay.
People need to accompany you because first of all, if you don't love yourself, no other person is going to love you. Okay. And so it's quite, it happens, I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but it's quite difficult for me to believe that if I really love who I am, my husband's perspective about who I am will really change that. To that extent, it could affect it, but I think to that extent of me sitting and doing nothing, I don't really think so.
All right, as we're talking about branding. Now, how do you feel? What's your experience? We're talking about personal. Do you believe in your inner self?
Of course I do. Of course I do. And I believe that everything that, it starts from you, like she said, before out. So you don't have to let things that happen around you influence the way you see the world and the way you see yourself. And usually as you grow up there, as you have certain people that you look up to, most often they are parents.
Okay.
They are parents. And they give you these values that you must hold so close and dear to you. And you should build your life around these values. And we also have, for those who go to church, there's a church groups that if you feel like everything is going away, then you just turn to your God. That's the surest person.
All right. Now, can a man stop you from believing in yourself?
He can attempt. He can attempt. In the beginning, it will be a blow. And then when you see that it's a serious one that's coming and it's going to be constant, then you have to now get a defense shield. You know, like, okay, this is what I'm dealing with now. He's slapping me now is with the kind of actions that he brings, not like physical, but the words. Now I have to now stop listening to this thing that he's telling me, because this is not what I am or who I am.
Okay.
I'm way bigger than this, because before you met him, you had plans.
Okay.
You had dreams. You had visions. Your parents had that for you.
All right.
His opinion counts, no doubt, but it should be in the positive direction and not the negative direction. So if it is negative, then you have to turn it around.
All right. Now, I want us, is it possible for a woman, let's say you have ideas in your head, you believe in yourself, quite all right. You have these ideas in your head, how to, let's say, start a small business, but you don't know how to go about it. Now, how do you start this? Where do you begin from? How do you remove the ideas? How do you get them out from the box to paper and then realize it into something beautiful?
Yeah. Starting up small businesses, I think the first thing...
Because it's all about branding.
Yeah, it is. It's part of the process. It's part of the process. First of all, you want to know the idea you have in your mind. Is that idea marketable? Is it meeting a need? Does it have a market? Are there people who will consume it? You need to first of all find out if there is a market for your product, because you don't want to step out there with an idea, no matter how brilliant it is, and then the environment is not conducive. It's going to frustrate you more. And so the first thing is you want to find out, is this idea marketable? And you do a kind of market research. You need to tease with people to find out, hey, if I brought this, would you?
And the
would
people
you
can
consider?
discourage you in the process. They say, no, it will not even work. We've had 100, 1,000 women buying or doing the same jewelry business or buying shoes, and they will just discourage you. Now, how do you do it?
I always
because you get to your friends, the same friends will tell you, okay, I've been there and it didn't work out.
I always say, hey, There is nothing new under the sun. Unfortunately, there's nothing you're going to come up with as a business that hasn't been done or taught somewhere. But there is nobody who has your touch.
Okay.
And that's where your uniqueness lies.
All right.
And that's what makes you different. And so you need to believe that your difference has a target that will make, and that's why I say personal branding is very important, because it is there that you find what makes you stand out from the others.
All right.
What makes you different? What is your unique selling point? And when you know it, even if it's the same business that everybody does, when you go out, you'll say, hey, this is Maureen's touch.
Okay.
I know this is Maureen's
All
touch.
right.
It might be food like everybody cooks, but somebody looks at it and say, hey, I think Maureen cooks
We can
this
have
food.
one restaurant, or let's say 100 restaurant, but somebody walk past those other restaurants and come. The person knows why it's coming there. Maybe you have your unique, your way of doing things.
Yes.
But you don't need to get discouraged or we have haters out there
A lot of
who are
them.
just simply there to just like discourage you. Now, as I want to ask that if you want to do something, what pushes you to do it?
It's your inner drive. There is a need. It begins with a need. For example, someone who wants to become, you want to own a restaurant. You should, wherever you want to run that restaurant, there should be that need. There are people who want to consume your product. And like she said, you have to go out there and find out by even observing who are those who have restaurants here. How do they do it? What do they do? What are they missing? And then you come up with that product. But it should be you, and usually I advise people to do the things that they like, not what everybody is doing.
Okay.
You understand? And it shouldn't be that, because I heard that this street, they are selling a lot of fast food and many people visit that street. That's why I should open a fast food restaurant. No. You should only open a fast food restaurant because you feel like you can manage this and you love running a fast food restaurant. Because when there's that love, you know, you cannot teach a person to be motivated, but a motivated person can learn.
Okay.
So now the motivation should come from you and you being observant, because we have that tendency, especially in this part, of just seeing that this is working. So let me join fashion business, or African clothes work today, so let me start running a fashion business. That's wrong. You have to educate yourself. And education, there's internet today for every person.
And carry out feasibility studies as well.
Yes.
Important.
Oh yeah, you educate yourself. There's internet today. That's why everybody uses the smartphone today to chat and all. But you need it for information.
All right. Now, what about the rural woman?
Yeah.
The woman in the villages, in the suburb. Let's leave the educated women, or the women of cities and the rest. Now, how do you tell the woman in the village to believe in herself? To her. Now, how do you tell her?
It's quite interesting, because if I look from, I try to look at the community where I come from, in my own rural community. We have women there. They might not have the same, maybe the challenges are not the same with what we have, but their context, the context in which they are, and the reality they face on ground. I'll tell you, a whole lot of them do, because you won't believe how many of them are the ones that take care of their homes and their families. You won't believe how many of them are the ones that go to the farm and come back and send their children to school and stuff. If those women didn't really believe that they could do it, I don't think they would. They'll probably sit down at home and let their husbands drink their lives away.
Maybe they believe in it, but they don't want to take it further.
Probably, maybe the context also won't permit them to take it further. Maybe.
All right.
Permit them to take it further.
We're looking at the context as a.
Yes, I think that we can't ignore the fact that there's also a tradition. There's that part, a culture. There's culture that we can write it out. You understand? So the rural woman cannot just wake up and just spring up and start doing something that's out of the culture, because there are people that will talk about it. So there are meetings that you will have to go. And if you're not there, there's this language. So somehow.
Now it's a media, and we are in a digital world. Is it not an obstacle somehow?
It's a powerful tool that is being misused.
Okay, how?
I think social media is a powerful tool, but it's been misused by many people. People spend more time, I don't know, they call it having fun. I don't know if that's a definition of fun, but I won't go there. But a lot of people spend time misusing it. Just like she said, that the media now and smartphones, you are just one touch away from any information and any kind of training you want. But you can count the number of people who go on social media because they want to learn.
Okay.
Majority go because they want to look at celebrity gossip. They want to hear who has done what, and you know, and it's quite sad because we have a powerful tool, yet we're standing, we're stagnating. Very few people are making the most out of it. They're using it to get contracts, partnerships. They're using it to get education. They're using it to get visibility, exposure, and most of the people are just using it, are just whining time, like they'll say. And I think maybe it's because of education as well.
Okay, they don't have the right education.
Yes.
They are not they don't have, they have not been sensitized at the base to how to use the social media. It's trending. We have more women on the social media today, but they copy the wrong things.
Yeah, I believe they do, because today you can sell anything you want on the different media channels that are online, but people are more focused on what I wear, what I do, and those are not interesting anymore. And the person who brought up this media thing understood it. That's why they constantly, you keep having this pop-up for different kinds of adverts, because they want to be seen, and so we can also adopt that.
All right. Now, what do you do at your own level to bring this branding at the doorsteps of women? What is your association or the group where you're working? How do you do it to get more women involved and make more women believe in themselves and try to identify their talents?
Yeah. Two things. First of all, I try as much as possible to get workshops, and I do with specific targets, especially women, because I realize we have a whole lot of small businesses, we have a whole lot of startups coming up. I was surprised yesterday. I was just going through the internet, and I was surprised at the number of them I discovered for the first time. And you know, I was happy, but somewhere I was like, hey, why don't I know about these people? It's my job to know about everything, because I want to help people grow in their businesses. Why don't I? And so I organize.
So how do you reach out? Is it possible to easily reach out?
Yes, it is. It is, because first of all, I organize workshops where people can come together, and I try to get people who can give them a glimpse of what it's all about. And then I have an association, Shine a Light Africa. What I do is I go more to the rural community with this.
I was like, what did you ask that? What about the rural community? How do you get to them? Because they need it.
Yes, they do. They do. For example, I started with my own village where I come from, and what they do is twice a year or so, we go back to those women. We try to help them to monetize the activities. They grow a lot of crops, you know, but it's just for them. They sell amongst themselves to their kids. So we're trying to get a market for them. We try to get a market out of the local community, people who can buy from them in bulk and sell to the bigger community. And also I belong to a group called World Pulse, and it's a digital platform where women are given a platform where you can expose yourself and your activities. So what they do is they try to take that platform to them. It's quite difficult because it's digital. But what is I am like the middle person. I take their products, I make it available, people see, and then people can buy from them.
All right. All right. Now, how do you do follow-up? What are the follow-up mechanisms?
For my community.
Say, for example, you go to your community, you talk to these women, you go back.
Yes.
How did you follow up?
What we did is we set up an association. We permitted them.
Because you need to follow up to see if women will actually like realize their dreams or try to build a business for themselves. And then you try to follow up and see maybe if it's a successful business or not. Now, how do you do the follow-up? Because most associations or most groups, when they do that, they have it once a year. And normally it's during international days. They go to these villages, they talk to the women, and they fall back in towns. And they wait again for next year to go back to these villages.
That's true.
And the women are just left there. You talk on that day, the ideas, they bury it the next day. Now, how do you do it?
I think since it's my home community,
I'm sure you're not going to focus only on your own community.
No. You know, it's always good to start up somewhere. When you start, and then it's easy to spiral. You know, you start up with your own community, because oh, sorry, I can't remember the English word. The accueil. The welcome it's quite easy, you know. And so what happens is, when we do that, we try as much as possible to go back. Even if I can't go back personally, somebody can go back there to see how they have their meeting days, and so we need to find out what happened today. what did you discuss during your meeting? Is there anything that is pending? And the president, we are available to her at any time. She can call and say, hey, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, and we look at what we're going to do next to take them to the next level. With the crisis, things are a little bit on the side.
The crisis affecting everybody.
Yes, so
now we're almost concluding the program, but without giving our last messages to women, I'll start maybe with you, since we're talking about branding here. We need to tell the women what they need to do to get the ideas, get them out of the boxes, put it on paper, and make it into real business. Now, what are you telling the women tonight?
I think I'll tell every woman,
especially a woman that has obstacles.
Yes, I think the first thing I'll tell every woman is my favorite all-time quote by Oscar Wilde. I say, be yourself, because every other person is already taken.
Okay.
Don't try to be another person. Try, stay true to who you are. Spend time, invest in yourself, because you're worth it. Invest in who you are, invest in the things that you're passionate about, because you're worth it. It will yield dividends in time.
Right.
Don't let the detractors, don't let the naysayers distract you or deter you from your path. And we're available to help you if you need our help.
All right, Azza, we're talking about branding here.
Yeah.
Now, what are you telling the women? Because I have some women who are like, no, I have 3 children. I'm married for 20 years. Now, what will I do again? I don't need all those things. I just need to stay here, eat, and she doesn't believe in herself. She thinks that life just ends just with the children, and that's just it. Why should I fight again?
You have many reasons to fight again.
So what are you telling the women?
You have many reasons to fight again, even when everyone is telling you that there's no reason to fight again. Right? And you have to see that it's never too late to start over new. And you have every power to achieve whatever you want if you would just push. If you would just push. So keep the focus, and if you feel like you're too weak and you cannot guide yourself, join groups.
Yeah.
There are different groups today for that.
Yeah, that's a very big problem. We have so many women who don't join groups because you can only get sensitized when you join these groups. Maybe they don't know some of these groups. No.
And for people who have kids, please have role models.
Okay.
Have people that you look up to, that you learn from them positively. At a certain age, you don't keep relationships just because you want to belong. You should keep them because they add value to your life. Anything that's not adding value to your life, you should scrap it out.
Okay.
Even if it means that person you're living with.
All right.
You don't have to stay there because every other person will look at me this way. Just stay there because it adds value to your life. It might not be monetary value, that emotional value that you need to get to anywhere you want to get to.
Okay.
Because emotional value is what gives you stability.
That's a real problem as well. We have women who think it's just all about money. But if you're physically, if morally, you're not upright, it doesn't add value to your life. The person comes there, it makes the whole environment is like nauseating. Is there need to be there?
There is no need to be where you're not happy. You need to be happy to do whatever thing, because you can't give the world something you don't have. If you don't have happiness, you can't give out happiness.
Okay.
So you can only give what you have. So if you're not happy, try your best. But if you see that it's not working, then do something else.
All right.
You must not stay in there.
All right. She tells she has nowhere else to go.
Yeah, of course. There are thousands of places
somewhere
to go.
Somewhere to
she
go.
says she doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah, thousands of places to go too.
She that's the only place. She got married to the man 30 years ago. They have built a home. They built a house together. She cannot leave that home, and she invested in there.
Reason why your whole life should not be based on material things.
Okay.
There are many more things that give happiness. And truly, when you get married to newlyweds, you should find your own activities that makes you happy. You shouldn't stick around the man because I'm married, so I have to be only where he is. You should have your own set of friends, like he should have his own set of friends. But more importantly, you should build your relationship on things that give you value, that takes your life from point A to point B in a positive way.
All right. I want to thank you, ladies. I'll start with Leila. Thank you very much. You're into communication, career communication, right?
Yes.
We also want to thank Azza. You're into communication. You're a communication specialist. We also thank Delphine because she's an educationist. She was also here on the panel. And she's still here in the studio, just like I can't see her. Now, I want to say thank you. We're telling women tonight that you need to believe in yourself and try to bring out all the ideas from the boxes and get them down on paper and try to build something for yourselves. You are supposed to have dreams. You have a right to have dreams. The program was Turn Up. Thanks for watching.